Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. This is the flip through for the Joie de Vivre journal. And if you were interested in seeing the sewing aspect of this journal, that's in a separate video. The link will be in the description box. And on this journal, I had a limited amount of fabric and I decided to make a pocket, a pouch for the journal. And that's all that you're seeing here. And I explained the issues I had with the fabric and the interfacing and that sort of thing in the other video. But the result came out nice. And that's what's important. So I want to do a flip through of this little journal. It's a single signature journal. And what stimulated it was this fabric, which I found at a thrift store. And I thought it was really pretty and thought it would be a fun fabric to turn into a journal. So this is the closure is just simply made from the same fabric. And there was only a small amount of fabric, and there were issues with getting the orientation because some of the motifs on the fabric were upside down. Some were, they were in opposition to each other. So I needed to find sections that had things that were right side up that were pleasing to me. So that's what was going on there. I did a little extra ribbon thing here on the spine. It's a sewn in spine. And well, let's just do a flip through, right? So I've just made a little few odds and ends here and there. There's a pocket that is made with the same fabric. This was all a sewing project, and it's actually quite an interesting video if you're so inclined that's about how I sewed the whole thing. But I did some fun things. I did some punching. This is tissue paper. And I learned this from Natasha Treasure Books. And I put glue stick on the back of a little strip of tissue paper, and then I just crunched it up and mashed it down, and it created a fun effect. I did that a few times. You'll see stenciling. This is some more tissue paper, and it is stapled on, and I just put little punches to hide the staple. Simple stuff. I was playing around with napkins, and this was one of my experiments. I did a few of them, and this is actually just a piece of paper, but then I was also using used up dryer sheets. So this is quite textural and thick. So there's a layer of paper, a layer of dryer sheet that I glued on with a thinned PVA adhesive, and then I put the napkin on top, let it dry, and it came out to be quite a nice kind of thick paper. It's an interesting texture and it can be written on. So that's fun. This little strip here is an offcut from this piece of scrapbook paper, and I inked it, did a little decorative edge on it. That's all there is to that. We have a little pocket here, real simple, straightforward. I'll tell you where I didn't want to do, and there's a little stenciling and some stickers. What I did was I wanted some, I was feeling a little stale and I wanted some inspiration on what I wanted to do with this journal. So I went to, it was an older one of Natasha's treasure book journals. It was just a flip through. And I watched that whole flip through and I went, oh yeah, I could do that. Oh yeah, I could do that. So that was my inspiration. So if you want it, I'm going to put that link in the description box. I don't remember, it was a couple years ago or more. It's a wonderful flip through. She actually does two journals flip through, and it's full of ideas. And that was all I needed to get my juices flowing. This, if you have not seen my W for washi tape in the hashtag ABC April 2025, I'll put a link to that also, because this is me making my own washi tape with an artist's masking tape. And that's all that is. And I used rubber stamps and it, I didn't have any washi tape that was what I wanted for this project, so I made my own. And I just had some cards, some miscellaneous little cards that had this pattern on them, so just ink the edges and include them here. These are stencils, and some rubber stamps. So it's a combination. This is some Easter egg dyed paper that I dyed, and I've got a pretty edge that I cut on it. More rubber stamping. I really want to pretty this whole thing up. A little piece of vellum. Some more Easter egg dyed paper. This is one of my rubber stamps. I still have a few available in the Etsy shop. It makes such a pretty corner. I glued on some lace. It's from a children's book. This, you'll see these little rubber stamps throughout, and some other rubber stamps, just a simple little folder, Easter egg dyed paper, a few of these paper clips. Lots of stamping. I really had fun with the stamping. This is a little flip out corner. Some stamping with a sticker in front, a simple tag. This is the same fabric, and I ironed on the interfacing and just zigzag stitched and glued it in to create a pocket. This was definitely something that Natasha had in her video where she had these layers of different size papers, and it looks so pretty that way. So yeah, I did a little stenciling here and there. I had this pretty scrapbook paper, and I glued in an envelope. Now this envelope also has a tuck spot. So this is some more of the same fabric. I just cut it and glued it on. Some stenciling, and there's just a pretty piece of Easter egg dyed paper. And just a Easter egg dyed doily with some inked edges. A little corner punch. And some more of that scrapbook paper. This again is the tissue paper. Swipe on some glue stick and then just crumple it up and see what happens. There's just a few little pieces of paper in here. A rubber stamp. Just a little extra. One of the offcuts. These are stickers. This is from one of the Tim Holtz clear stamp and stencil sets. I have a couple of little offcuts in here for whoever has this journal. There's another piece of Easter egg dyed paper, some more of the same fabric. Another little tuck spot and a flip out. Another one of those cards in the fabric pocket. I love all these rubber stamps that are just little plants, just little small plant images with the different size butterflies and dragonfly, and they just make a wonderful. I could just stamp them in a variety of different ways and get these wonderful, like uh, roadside weeds and flowers sorts of things. I wanted to do all of this stamping in keeping with the theme of the fabric because all of these plants are in that kind of teal blue. So it was kind of fun to just use one stamp pad, essentially. I used a couple of stamp pads, but primarily I was using this one teal blue stamp pad. This is one of those little flip out. Right. Come on. There we go. There we go. Another piece of the homemade washi tape. It's a great way. It's a great way of using your stamps and creating your own look. And here's the other half of that layered paper. Some more of the tissue paper, tissue paper. And I just went ahead and tucked in one of the other experiments, and this is the napkin that has been PVA adhesive glued onto a sheet, a dryer sheet that's been used. And it really is, it's so interesting. I know I'll be doing more of that. I wanted to do an experiment with it. And I put the dryer sheet on some release paper. So it was a sheet of paper that was underneath labels. So I peel off the labels and I keep all of the release paper because it comes in really handy for this. But you can use, I think I've used wax paper with success. Some people have used like baking sheet. Um, you have to experiment and find things that work for you. So this was just a little fun thing to tuck in the back. And you can see the sewing that went on in the back of this, and create the pocket. This whole journal was sewn. And so there is the flip through. So we've got the self tie and a pocket, a pouch for it. And again, check the description box for links to the how to make the cover and for these other videos that I mentioned. I'll have them all in there. So I hope that you enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching and being here. And on to the next project, right? All right. Bye for now.